you know what's inside Project Alpha, or what's included inside Project Alpha. Then we discuss Project Phoenix, Project Cassiopeia, and Project Exodus. All right, so let's get started. But first things first, let's let's establish clear economic benefits of moving to the cloud. Okay. The first one would be the obvious one. Of course, we flip capex to opex. So traditionally, companies relied on in-house models for data centers that required huge capex investment as they purchase space, equipment, software, and a workforce to run and maintain everything. So would hire this workforce just to maintain or just to keep the lights on. Now, but with the dawn of cloud computing, that's when things get a lot better economically, as the adoption for the OPEX model greatly helped businesses by letting them focus on what matters most instead of them focusing on keeping the lights on. So that's the beauty of being on OPEX. So you just pay for what you actually use. So in Azure, we call it as pay as you go model. Um, some cloud providers probably they also have this other term, but the point of being in the cloud is the opex model, which means you only pay for what you consume. Okay, the next one is probably the most critical to any organization. Many public clouds have this built-in security features and specialized cloud security tools like MFA, access controls, etc., to help ensure that the organization's resources in the cloud are protected. Also, under security is compliance. So, some cloud platforms have specialized offerings to seamlessly meet compliance requirements. This is most ideal for highly regulated industries like financial industries, healthcare, especially government. So we have this actually in Azure. We have this network of government in the US. We have this special region for government, and another one would be China. That's the highly regulated environment, especially for compliance. And additionally, you can also you can also meet compliance in terms of financial. You can set in security. You can have this set of settings that you can comply to meet this certain standard. Okay. Then the next one is, or the best of all is, cloud also improves operational productivity of your staff, so they can focus on priority and business initiative. And in terms of scalability, you can ensure that whenever your business needs rises, so you can ensure that cloud providers can provide those requirements or resources that your business use. So you can start small, and then eventually, as your business grows and your requirements grows, you can make sure that the cloud provider can match the requirements of your workloads. So again, these three are the major benefits of moving into the cloud, and some of them includes also the DR benefits of being into the cloud. So you have this on-premises environment, and then you also have this cloud as a DR. So later on, I have special project for that. I'll discuss. So again, and sorry, and Azure offers a lot of services. Now, when we look at this table, or when we look at this diagram, you can see that from IaaS to PaaS, from the VMs to analytics, you we have this certain services that we can provide you to help you solve your challenges today. Now, looking at this, it may seem very daunting where to start. Okay, so where do I start? Should I start with data? Should I deploy VMs? Should I deploy first the networking? Should I go with the storage first? Because there's a lot of services and can be so very tricky to build solutions, or probably to know where you will start. So yeah, the problem the but uh, the choices, or there's so many choices and so little time. That's what I always say on this. The good thing is actually uh, we have this ASPO. So our ASPO is actually a pre-packaged solution that we created for you to easily build or move your workloads to the cloud. So as mentioned earlier, Mabel, this includes the file sharing, the disaster recovery. I'll discuss each project later on. And then it's designed for resiliency and, of course, faster deployment. So that's our ASPO, or the Azure Solution Package offering. Let's start first by introduce you with the first the four projects. Let's start with the overview of all projects. So Project Alpha is a lab services. Project Phoenix includes file share plus backup. Project Exodus, the migration solution, and we have the Project Cassiopeia, which is more towards on the DR. Okay, let's start first with Project Alpha. So nowadays, uh, educational institution, or uh, the the educational institution mainly provides classes virtually right now. So since there's a pandemic, uh, they mostly do theoretical, and sometimes, or most of the time, depending on what course, they do laboratories. And right now it's very challenging to build laboratories. So traditionally we would go to the established laboratory of the school, or of the institution or the organization, and then we do our labs there. But right now, things really change because of this pandemic. So Project Alpha solves these challenges. So powered by Azure Lab Services, we provide virtual labs to users anywhere, can engage students anywhere, can empower faculty instead of them thinking about how they will deliver the laboratories, instead of them thinking about how to better teach their students, and also optimize costs. So again, the benefit of having an OPEX still applies into this solution, which basically translates to you only pay for what you consume. And then you can streamline VM management. As an admin or as a faculty, you don't actually need any deep technical expertise to manage your classes. And then the next one is you can connect from any devices. Now, the challenges of doing laboratories nowadays is some students, their device is not really designed to handle laboratories, like probably their laptop is too old. Uh, they only have this mobile phone, they only have this specific tablets, and sometimes it's not powerful enough for to do laboratories. So with this, you can actually access the provisioned resources to the cloud. So you just have to download a client, and then you connect to your laboratories. So that portion, it was leveraging, or leveling the playing field of all students. So there's no student that can't do laboratories because of the device restrictions or the device capabilities. So that's the power of Azure Lab Services. And when we compare it to the actual physical laboratories, uh, physical lab, of course, traditionally we would have to license everything from OS to the client applications that we use. For Azure Lab Services, it's a consumption basis. So you just pay for the subscription itself, and you pay for what you consume. Okay? So for the physical lab, traditionally, of course, we will have to buy the hardware itself, or that's the capex part. Okay. But of course, we're going to the cloud now. We only pay for what we actually use. We don't have to think about the infrastructure itself. And then the next one is the accessibility. Like I said earlier, you can access this any devices. There's a client each operating system. Then, of course, uh, the monthly electricity, or the overhead cost of doing physical laboratories versus the cloud providers which handles all of this overhead costs, which includes the data center itself, the power, the cooling. So you don't have to worry anything. So just a little bit of comparison between having a physical lab and doing your laboratories on cloud. So it's a simple solution for classes, not just for educational institutions. You can also do hackathons. You can also dev test. You can also do demo environment for your clients, not just for us students. So basically, in general, we have these four steps to set up the laboratories. So just set up a single cloud-based PC. We'll create a template for that. So it can be your science 101, or it could be your computer programming 101. We can create a template for that, and then you can publish it to your lab. You can also set schedule for your student. You can also set time, which it can be accessible only from probably 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So you can control those settings, and students can be up and running in just mere minutes. That's the beauty of doing this laboratory in the cloud. So the provisioning itself, the managing itself, it's very easy and very fast. Now, Project Alpha includes, of course, the subscription itself, the implementation, our own iSupport services, so VST ECS iSupport services, and it's also backed by our unified call center. So Project Alpha is again a lab services. So whenever you need to a dev test environment, or probably you want to set up a laboratory for your classes, may it be a school related, or may it be for work related, so we can position Project Alpha. Again, Project Alpha is a lab services. So let us know if you're interested. Also feel free to chat if you have any question. Then let's go on to the next project. So the Project Phoenix. So Project Phoenix is an Azure File Share plus backup. So commonly, or in our own experience, the common requirements nowadays for small businesses is actually to have this cloud storage that they can utilize, because probably all of their staffs are working from home, so they need this easy to access storage. So basically, Project Phoenix includes the Azure Files plus backup functionality under Azure. It's just shared access, also means a share file system across multiple machines and application instances. So you can treat this as your ordinary file share server. So you can mount it directly to your client's computer, or you can directly mount it to your server, and then let your users access it or via VPN, etc. Or you can directly again mount it to your client's computers. It's a fully managed. You don't have to worry about any patches and maintenance. It's all done by Microsoft Azure. And aside from that, the backup itself includes the instant restore. So whenever attack, in the worst case scenario, you're attacked by ransomware, or you're attacked by a certain virus, you can actually utilize the instant restore functionality. And it can protect against accidental deletion by enabling the soft delete feature. So there you have an option by default. You have an option of 7 days. So if you accidentally delete something, you can still restore it within those 7 days by enabling this soft delete feature. And of course, you can also have the alerting and reporting. So how many users are currently accessing the file share? Uh, is the user itself is risky or not currently logged in, etc. So this is all part of the security and monitoring. Project Phoenix, uh, you can do multi-site sync on this. So we have this component called file sync. So it's very straightforward name. Uh, it does what it does. It does what the name says. So it synchronizes files across your branches. You can set up a single file sync or a multiple. So some deployments they have a second site that they also do file synchronization. This means that whenever HQ, for this example, HQ uploaded a certain file, it can actually sync on the branch server, or it can actually sync to the cloud. So whenever they do this, they also have another copy of those files. And another one is you can also do cloud tiering. So this is the most exciting feature. So instead of saving all of the files directly to the cloud, you can actually save it on the physical file server on your premises. So all of those frequently access files, you can access it directly to the file server. And when the time comes that the file itself is not accessed frequently, so it can now be moved to the cloud. So you don't have to worry anything that the your file server might go over capacity of the file storage, because if those files is not frequently accessed, it will be moved to the cloud. Okay, so it's a combination of the on-premises, your file server, and the cloud itself. So that's the cloud tiering. Again, still utilizing the file sync. And then another one is, of course, the cloud backup itself. So it's very straightforward. Whatever you save onto the cloud or Azure, you can do backup on those files. So again, it's instant restore, have this functionality, and of course for disaster recovery. So let's just say, since you are utilizing file sync, which actually copies your file to the cloud, you can ensure that whenever HQ went down, uh, some of the users from the HQ can actually access the files from the other branch, since it's already synchronized. Or if it's still not synchronized, it can be accessed via cloud itself. So without the file server itself, you can do file server disaster recovery on Project Phoenix. Right? Project Phoenix. So we created this Project Phoenix. Again, it includes the subscription itself, the iSupport implementation, and the after sales powered by our unified call center support. Now, we've created this simple or starter offer, which includes 500 gig capacity of file share and 500 gig snapshots, which pertains to the backup itself. Again, our ASPO is actually very flexible and still customizable. But the point of this ASPO is to give you some starter options that you can just pick. You can just tell us that you need this Project Phoenix. I need costing for this, so we can provide you immediately. Okay, so if you need 1 terabyte of capacity, we can provide you this estimate immediately, since the initial portion of creating this file share plus backup solution, we already did that. So, and then we can also customize this. So again, uh, feel free to chat if you have any questions, or if you're interested. So Miss March, our product manager, will send her contacts later on, so we can discuss if you need these requirements. Okay. So the next one would be the Project Exodus. So probably you have an idea what is this, what this pertains. I've also showed the four projects earlier. So it's probably very named appropriately for this project. So Project Exodus is a cloud migration function that we created. So basically, it's powered by Azure Migrate. Azure Migrate is actually one of the most powerful tool that Microsoft Azure created. It supports this certain other diverse workloads from your Hyper-V, from your VMware, even physical servers. It can do migration on that on that, including the application itself. So uh, comprehensive discovery, so not just the migration portion. It can also do discovery, which lists down all of your infrastructure, lists down all your VMs, your applications, the dependencies itself, and of course the assessment part. So the good thing about this, on the assessment portion, you can set it to collect logs, performance logs, and then Azure will determine what's the best size of VMs when you migrate it. So not just 1:1, so you can still choose. If you move to Azure, you can still choose the size of your VMs based on those performance logs. So not just because it's 16 cores, it's 32 gig, and then when you run the performance logs over time, it just utilizes this 8 gig, and then it just utilizes 8 gig of memory also. So you can, on this, during assessment, you can also optimize the cost of the of your cloud environment. Okay, and of course the migration. So we do Azure Migrate can do discovery, assessment, and the migration portion. And all of this can be done on a single or centralized portal. You can see the step-by-step process. You have this discovery, and then you're now in the assessment, and you are now with the migration portion. So all of this is a end-to-end tracking insight via the portal. So just to specify all the multiple scenarios, Windows, Linux servers, diverse uh, discovery assessment, and centralized. Okay, so for my migration or the assessment itself, web server, assessment, database, web application. So another powerful tool of this Azure Migrate is it can be, or it can also migrate your database servers. So you can run this database migration assistant that can determine what you still need to configure or do to your database server for it to be migrated. So it will just assess what your database is currently like, and then you can do adjustment. And then another one is the web application assessment and migration. So your web applications, may it be publicly facing or just private web apps that your organization only accesses, can directly migrate it to Azure via this Azure Migrate. So it's a very powerful tool that can migrate a very diverse workloads or basically everything in your environment. So it supports key migration scenario just to specify those workloads, Windows Server, including Linux, Open Linux and Open data source databases, dev test, web apps, EP, specialized workloads, TTI, NetApp, Oracle, etc. So again, a very powerful tool of the Azure Migrate or the Project Exodus. And then Project Exodus also applies the cloud adoption framework, which was discussed yesterday. It's a very powerful methodology. It's actually a iterative process that you can do whenever you move or build something to the cloud. So it can assist you by providing this governance, the operations. So it's a set of framework or tools that you can utilize to have this smooth and fast transition to the cloud. So we're not just moving everything in just one go. So we will still apply the cloud adoption framework, so we can ensure that our move to the cloud is smooth. So with Project Exodus, again, includes the Azure subscription. So we created this very basic initial cost. Again, each environment has different factors, has different virtual machines. So again, it's still customizable, but again, we can provide you the initial cost for the migration itself. The subscription, the estimate, includes also the services, and of course via our unified call center support. Okay, so that's the Project Exodus. It's a powered by Azure Migrate. So it simplifies this migration portion of your environment. So whenever you want to move just a few VMs first, you can do that using Project Exodus. Then the next one is Project Cassiopeia, or probably the last one, but not the least. Okay. So we have this migration. Now, what about doing DR? Again, this is DR. Uh, so it is a site recovery service. So it helps ensure this business continuity. It does replication of your running workloads on premises to the cloud. So this one is you're not ready yet to move totally to the cloud, but you want this disaster recovery functionality into the cloud. So Project Cassiopeia solves this challenge. Okay? So Project Cassiopeia supports orchestration of your Azure virtual machines, on-premises VMs, and physical servers. So between those environment, so for the on-premises, you can do replication. So it's a continuous replication between your Azure. You can do recovery plan. So you'll know what VMs will go up first. So um, sometimes we have this certain sequence that we need to do. So probably first is the AD, the next one would be DNS, and then next our application. So you can do this certain recovery plan on Azure Site Recovery. Then you can also do test failover, or what we call a recovery drill, or DR drills. So you will not be shocked that your DR is not going well. So you can test it before the actual disaster happens. So you can ensure that everything will go smoothly when the actual DR happens. Okay? So that's the functionality of the project Cassiopeia. So again, the project Cassiopeia is actually made for DR requirements. So we also created this basic, or the initial cost for, or initial estimate for site recovery. So again, it's very flexible. We can still do a lot of things since environments will vary a lot. So with Project Cassiopeia, again, it includes the Azure subscription estimate, the implementation powered by iSupport services, and the after sales support, powered by our unified call center. Okay. So then every this four I mentioned is just actually the tip of the iceberg of what we are offering in ASPO. So we still have a lot more. So we just featured this four ASPOs for you. But you can still inquire if you need a huge file share services, or huge file share ASPO. You can still inquire us. This is just the four ASPO that we featured, and all of this is backed by our unified call center support. We have this ticketing website that you can file a ticket if whenever you encounter any errors or any issues. So you can file this directly to our UCS, or the unified call center support. Just to reiterate everything. So I'm not saying this is you must remember this, but I'm not saying it's part of the Q&A later. But it's good to remember this. Project Alpha Lab Services. So it provides you this easy to access, easy to provision laboratory services for educational purposes, for testing, etc. And then we have this Project Phoenix file share plus backup solution, Project Exodus, which is on the migration itself. So, and then we also have the Project Cassiopeia, which is for DR. So that's the four ESPO that we are currently offering right now. Again, there are still a lot of ASPO that we do offer right now. So when we talk to you, when we inquire to us, we could be presenting all of the ASPO. We also have certain partnership with different vendors, so we also do solutions for that. But this four is our spotlight of the day. Okay, so the lab services: Project Alpha, Project Phoenix, Project Exodus, and Project Cassiopeia. Okay, so again, thank you, and stay safe.